Welcome back to the Green Evangelist and Happy New Year. I don't know if we can still say Happy New Year. Today is the 15th of January, 2026. The year is off to a good start and we are grateful to be continuing this journey of the Green Evangelist. So last quarter, we started our journey of the Green Evangelist looking at this phenomena of rapid urbanization in Africa and what it's doing to the environment. And of course, that has implications for the quality of life. So last quarter, between October and December, we focused on looking at the growing challenge of managing waste. So we looked at various forms of waste that are a result of rapid urbanization, specifically here in Kiambu. But we always say that what's happening in Kiambu is not all that unique because Kiambu is a microcosm. It's a representation of what's happening in many other places in Kenya and throughout Africa. So last quarter, we looked at that growing challenge of waste management, and we learned that what we see very much as a waste management crisis is also a governance crisis. It's an ecological governance crisis. Ecological governance is all about managing our environment and the way people interact with that environment. So this quarter, between January and March 2026, we'll be shifting our focus. We'll go from looking at the growing challenge of waste management to looking at land. Land as ecological infrastructure. Land is a source of many environmental benefits that are important for our lives, important for biodiversity. So one of the things that's really, really important is agriculture. And today I'm out here. I'm in a place called Nyathuna. Nyathuna is special for me because my mom was from here. Her parents were from here. So I've come back to my roots. But Nyathuna is also famous for producing a lot of vegetables, specifically the green leafy kind. So right here we have kale, collard greens. I think somewhere over there we have some different types. Sometimes there is managu, sometimes there is amaranthus, and right here there is spinach. So the spinach looks really good. I think the kale also looks really good. And what you see here is happening throughout this whole area. The people who live here rely on vegetable farming. They rely on horticulture. That's how they've been able to educate their kids. That's how they've been able to build their homes. But as Nairobi, as Kiambu, as many different parts of Kenya are urbanizing, this kind of way of life is under threat. This kind of way of life is being threatened because there's more and more development that is converting this kind of way of life, this kind of land, into places that have houses built on them, places that have commercial buildings, places that have apartment units, apartment complexes. So this quarter will be kind of looking into unpacking this issue of how is rapid urbanization and what I see as the urbanization crisis in Africa, how is it affecting our land? We'll start by looking at how it's affecting agricultural land in this month of January. In the coming months, we'll also get to look at other forms of land use, other forms of ecological value that land gives us. So we know there's things like wetlands that are really important for regulation of our climate and regulation of our water systems and our food systems. And you also see that there's trees. There's tree cover that is really, really important for our climate as well. But some of the questions that we'll be looking at this quarter is trying to understand if every piece of land here is now more valuable, not for the food that it produces, but for the development that can be put up here. So if I was to take this maybe, I don't know, 1 acre piece of land and put up some buildings, put up some houses as a developer, I'd be able to sell those and make a lot of money. I'd perhaps be able to make more money than even growing vegetables. And this is something that the landowners here will have to grapple with because they're building roads. There is a tarmac road about maybe 10 minutes walk from here that never used to be there 20, 30 years ago. And that has created a lot of change, a lot of excitement. The potential for development has increased. And so what I see as a challenge is deciding how important is it that we preserve this land so that we are producing food on it. And if this land is to be produced, how do you compensate the person who owns this land so that they can say no to development? Because the developers will come and do their math, they'll do their calculations and say, if I can buy this piece of land for 10 million, I can probably use another 10 million shillings to build apartments here. And I can probably sell each apartment for maybe, I don't know, 5 million. And so if I have 10 of them, I'll make 50 million and I'll only have spent 20 million. So it's a very lucrative kind of business to be in, this business of real estate development. But the land is doing important work for the community, for the country, because the food that comes from here is feeding people in Nairobi. The way the land is being managed here is ensuring that we preserve water, that we conserve some biodiversity, and it makes this place as lovely as it is to live in. So that's under threat. And so if the person who owns this land is to keep it the way it is, one of the questions that will come up is, should they get paid? And how much should they get paid? Should they get the difference between the value of this land for development and the value that they're getting from doing farming? And in other countries, they've had to compensate people in peri-urban areas where there is urban sprawl. They've had to compensate them for them to preserve the land in agriculture. So this will be really difficult questions for our government. It'll be also areas that I think policy advisors, policy analysts, people like us that look at these issues from a systems level can analyze, can put out recommendations, because I personally believe that people should be compensated to preserve agricultural land. The main question becomes, how much is the land worth? How much compensation should they get? But in the meantime, we'll continue exploring places like this. This is Nyathuna, but there's many other places like this where they are producing vegetables. Other parts of Kiambu, they produce coffee, they produce tea, and all those areas are now growing in value because of the potential for real estate development. So stick with me in this quarter of the Green Evangelist. We'll be doing this kind of field tours to give you a visual taste of what's happening. But the real policy analysis, the real advocacy happens on LinkedIn. You can follow the Green Evangelist LinkedIn page, where I write articles analyzing issues to do with urbanization and environmental governance. And I put out recommendations. Sometimes I put out questions that policy analysts and decision makers, people in government should be grappling with. It's going to be interesting. I enjoy being in places like this. I feel like I'm holding on to something that is so valuable, but also something that's not going to be here for very long unless we as a people here in Africa figure out a way of slowing down development so that we can ensure that we don't lose what we are not able to recover.